Hey guys, I am Game Advisor and welcome back to another Icarus update video. Today we're going to be going over the Icarus Week 50 update, so let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Now, there are a number of different changes in this update, but the ones I want to start by covering are the open world missions, as this is by far the biggest change we're getting. The open world missions are essentially going to be a series of new missions that you can do in open world mode by building a special thing called a short range radio. These are then going to allow you to select a mission, and that mission can be a wide variety of things. It could be to hunt down a certain number of animals, grow some crops, you might have to mine some ore, go collect something from a stash, scan an area, all sorts of different stuff. There can even technically be killing a wandering boss animal, although we never encountered that one. I think that might be more like killing an elite animal. I could be wrong on that, but that was just my experience with it. Again, there is a whole variety of things for you to get here. Now, I personally found that these missions were pretty easy almost every time. I will say that in my experience, I didn't really enjoy them that much as they were super simplistic, but if you really like the open world mode, this will give you something to do. So it is nice to have, although for the traditional Icarus player base, people who've been playing since launch basically, I don't think you're going to get a lot of mileage out of this because the missions are so repetitive and so are the rewards. For an example, we had multiple times where we had these same reward pop up over just doing about 5 to 6 missions. As far as XP goes, though, you are going to get a lot of XP from doing these open world missions. You'll get somewhere around the realm of 5k for an easy mission, 10k for a medium mission, and 16.5k XP for a hard mission. This means if you bring in a low-level character to a place you've already built up, meaning a open world that you've already built up and built structures and weapons for, they can come in, take all those weapons and stuff, and then go do the missions themselves and gain tons of extra XP. So this is going to be the new meta for how you're going to level up your alt for sure. Now, as far as the rewards go, there is a large variety outside of XP as to what you can actually get. Everything from a mod that you can attach to a weapon to maybe some ore, maybe you get some cool new storage things or some rustic things. There's a whole wide variety, but sometimes you also get really bad things that are just not worth the cost, and it seems like you would get the same things no matter the difficulty. Now, this will probably change in the future as they balance it out a bit more, but right now, I've had a mission where I had to turn in a bunch of gold and I ended up getting a reward that was just some wheat. Like, I'm sorry, but that's a pretty terrible reward for turning in gold. I also had missions where, I had to go kill one elite mob that spawns nearby and it took, 20 seconds with a rifle or a bow, and then it was over. So again, these are not necessarily hard missions. A lot of them are very simplistic and the rewards are mediocre most of the time at best. But if you are new to the game, this would be a good way for you to experience things you may not have access to, and it would be just a good way for you to level up your character and get better at the game over time. Moving on from that, we do have a performance update, and I'm just going to be honest with you, there was nothing noticeable in my personal case. It's hard to explain, but if you want to read this yourself, they're trying to say that they did some different changes, they're trying to make things better, they're still working on it, and they're going to probably continue to work on it, but at this point in time, I'm getting 30 to 40 frames with a 2070 Super graphics card, so unless you're running on a 30-something graphics card, odds are you're going to not be hitting 60 FPS all the time, of course, depending on the situation you are in. They then go ahead and talk about some different issues they've been having with bugs that they're struggling to actually fix. This includes things like disappearing buildings, deployables, and deep ore veins whenever you reload a game. And they kind of explain that it's difficult based on how it is right now in their code to figure out what is actually the root problem for this. So they've added a new report bug button to the game, which is great to see, no complaints there. And that will allow you to anonymously send a bug ticket to the devs, which will include any errors or warnings that have occurred in your game logs. This will help them, so I do encourage you guys to do it as it's a great way to help fix issues. Now, the next thing in this update I want to talk about is the DLC status and the current monetization stance of the company. I've already read through all of this, so I'm not going to sit here and try to read the entire thing word for word. What you need to know is this. Right now, they do not feel their base game is developed enough to make it a reasonable thing to sell a DLC to us. I'm glad to hear that. It's good to know that the devs care enough to actually continue to work on their game before releasing a paid DLC. With that being said, the DLC will still eventually come, but there is no hard release date on it. We do not know when it's going to come. It was supposed to come with 2 DLCs this year alone, and we don't even have one yet. At this point, I'm expecting best case scenario, we see at the beginning of next year. Worst case scenario, we might not see the DLC till mid, maybe even late next year. Again, the devs have not given any dates. This is just my opinions based on my experiences and what I've seen with this dev team. So I would say that there's a good chance you're going to be waiting at least a few more months before you have a chance to take a look at the DLC. If you want to know more about the DLC, you can always go all the way down to the changelog and read stuff down there. And it's going to tell you at the very bottom down here in the future content section what they're currently working on in the DLC portions of the game or some other form of future content they might have planned for the current form of game. This is a great place to check out what's actually going on if you're curious as to what they're working on. As always, there is a very long list of changelog systems, especially considering the fact that we have a whole new questing system in the game. So I'm just going to leave this to you guys to go ahead and read through yourself if that's something you're interested in. But generally speaking, there's not a whole lot to talk about that isn't stuff that's already implemented or isn't something that's just related to the new questing system. They do try to also advertise for their Stationeers game. I'm not going to tell you guys to go check that out. I'll leave that up to you. I'm not plugging or displugging this devs. It's just not something that, we're really here to do. We're here to talk about Icarus. Either way, though, I'm excited for the future of Icarus because what this is telling me is that open world missions are something that means there's going to be a whole separate section of the game focused around open world mode. I'm really curious to see what that's going to look like, see if there's some exotics maybe you can work towards, see what goals they can apply to you, because right now it feels like if you're level cap, there's no reason to really do open world mode after you've built your cool house or whatever it is that you want to have that looks pretty. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm excited for it, but I don't know how good it's going to be just yet. And with all that being said, I want to give a quick shout out to our Platinum and Above channel members, which include Caustic FPV, Jonathan S, and Jim Phillips. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more Icarus and other survival game content like it. I'm Game Advisor, and I'll see you next time.